Mike, what did you take away from Bill's press conference yesterday?
Greeny, really how much intrigue there is around what the Patriots will do. I logged on for this video conference at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was one of 83 reporters on the video conference. Think about that, Greeny. 83! And why is there so much intrigue around this? Everyone knows Bill Belichick loves to wheel and deal. He's made 82 draft day trades since he's come to the Patriots in the year 2000, easily the most in the league. I will tell you, coming away from that video conference, I didn't sense that he was thinking of the big trade, 15, maybe up to 4, but more of the modest trade that we heard him talk about if the right player is there, maybe in the 10 to 14 range.
Well, and that is what Mel Kiper forecast earlier this week in his mock draft. As you know, he projected them to move up to 10 to take Justin Fields. They've also been at Mac Jones' pro day, Fields' pro day earlier this week. So what is your sense, from best you can tell, of how the Patriots view these quarterbacks in this draft?
Well, Belichick called it an interesting group, but that doesn't take us too far down the road to what they're really thinking. Greeny, I will just say this, from a big picture standpoint, they are all in on the quarterbacks. And I'll tell you, owner Robert Kraft had said, we know long term that we have to find our way at quarterback. And they're going out to Justin Fields' pro day a couple days ago. And Robert Kraft said, we're bringing a small group. You know what, guys? Take my private plane. We'll make it easier. And to me, I just tell that story because it's reflective from the top down how they're locked in on these quarterbacks, knowing they got to try to figure out that position one way or the other. All
right, Mike Reiss is always there to keep us posted. We're 13 days from maybe starting to get the answer here. Outstanding work as always, Mike. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Man, well, let me bring my crew back in here today. For those of you just joining us, Mike Tannenbaum, Field Yates, and Dan Orlovsky are here. So Mike T., you just heard Mike Reiss saying that Belichick loves the draft day trade. I'd love you to pick that up again, because for those who are wondering, if he's going to make this move, when's he going to make it? You were making the point earlier. If you do it while the draft is going on, the prices come down.
Yeah, precipitously. And again, the key spot to me is number 8 with Carolina. They just traded for Sam Darnold, and I think to go from 15 to 8, which was a little bit more than what Coach Belichick talked about, I think the price is going to be very reasonable. Let's say it's just 1 first-round pick. If you're New England, you get your quarterback of the future. Let's say it's Trey Lance. Maybe Justin Fields falls there. And you're only giving up 1 first-round pick. If you're Carolina, you have Sam Darnold and an extra 1. So I think that's a real win-win. And from 9 to 11, I think the price gets even lower. And the massive premiums we saw 10 days ago in that San Fran-Miami trade, that's gone on draft day.
That would be interesting. And so who's jumping in? Allie?
I'll go.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, first of all, I don't know what precipitously means, Mike T, so break that down a little bit more for me. But I just sit here and I go, and I felt this way for a while now. How does New England not be aggressive in this draft? They were abnormally aggressive in free agency. And then the reality is that there are 4 quarterbacks in this draft that I feel really good, have the chance to be really good players. The 5th being Trey Lance, that I think there's a lot of unknown about, all right? I don't know because I haven't necessarily seen it from him when it's been needed, because it hasn't been. So if you're New England and you're sitting there within a division and you go, wait, Josh Allen in Buffalo just had an MVP caliber season, only going into year 4. Buffalo's a really good organization. He's a really good player. Tua Tagovailoa in Miami. Tua had a pretty darn good rookie season when a lot was against them, and they're only going to get better. Great head coach, great general manager. And then now the New York Jets have got a gajillion picks, and they're taking a player that a lot of people, myself included, think is very intriguing and super talented. We're going to have to make a move at some point, guys. That's just in our division, let alone Jacksonville getting Trevor Lawrence, let alone Kansas City having Patrick Mahomes, let alone the Chargers having Justin Herbert. At some point, we're going to have to sit there as an organization, if you're New England, go, okay, we're at 15, and we don't want to be at 15 ever again. And we've kind of refurbished our cupboard when it comes to talent. We got to get a dude. And Greeny, like if you told me that this roster come April 30th or April 31st has this talent level with this coaching staff, and they went and got a Justin Fields or Trey Lance, that totally changes the complexion of the AFC. Because now I don't look at them as a fringe playoff team. Now I look at them a team going, uh-oh, they got a chance to make a lot of noise.
Yeah, there were only 30 days in April, but your point is still well taken. So, Field, let me then come to you, if I could, very quickly, because there's a name that has not yet been said. We've been on the air an hour and 6 minutes. And there's a name that has not yet been said that I think belongs in this conversation, and that name is Jimmy Garoppolo, okay? The 49ers are going to take a quarterback at number 3. Vegas is now telling us it's going to be Justin Fields. Everyone else thinks it's going to be Mac Jones. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of this which one they take. The moment they do, it's sort of like when you drive a car off of a lot. The minute you buy it, its value just decreases exponentially. The minute they take a quarterback, I have to believe, the price on Jimmy Garoppolo drops enormously. And it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of him. Bill loves him, and I think that is fairly well documented. So, Field, that remains to me a very real possibility in all of this, that the quarterback that Bill eventually comes out of this thing with is Jimmy G. Field, Yates, what do you think?
I'm not so sure about that, Greeny. And I'll just say this. If the 49ers wanted to maximize the value of Jimmy Garoppolo, they would have traded him 2 weeks before free agency got going. Because think about the suitors they would have had available at that time. Chicago, Washington, New England, all those teams that at the time not only did not have a new quarterback plan in place, but had more roster flexibility in terms of cap space. I hear you people out there. You can always find the cap space if you want to make it. But the 49ers waited until just after free agency's first wave was over, when all these teams had made all these plans and done their cap projections based off the players they had acquired, and Washington signed Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Chicago signed Andy Dalton. The Patriots brought back Cam Newton. I'm not so sure that Jimmy Garoppolo is anywhere other than a 49er at the start of this season, because you're right in the sense that the minute they draft a Mac Jones, maybe Jimmy G's value depreciates. But it could go right back up if he plays how they expect him to play. If they expect him to play pretty well this year, well enough that they can make a playoff run again, a year from now, they could have value in a Jimmy Garoppolo trade and an obvious transition plan to whoever they take at pick 3.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.